Looking at this video in a little bit of horror and amusement because we don't know quite what's going to happen, but we think we do. We've got a pretty good idea. But there's something really sinister to what's going on that I think it's quite difficult for people to understand and see, which is related to the educational system and our preparation to accept what the authority says and therefore what it does to us. We joke about anal rape and going to prison and dropping the soap in the shower. And I think that what's going on in the world and what goes on in prison has a lot of similarities. As you know, anal swab tests are very invasive and they penetrate up to 2 inches. Now, if somebody does that to a man or a woman with a digit or an implement, it's classed, I believe, as rape. Yet 2 million people in China have had this anal test done, and there is no proof that it actually works. And the top Chinese scientists are saying, one saying it works and the other says it doesn't work. And this is something that we need to look at quite badly. One of the human conditions, problems with it, is ego and power. We all want to have ego and power, and when we have it, usually it goes to our heads and we see problems such as Hitler, Mao Zedong, Colonel Gaddafi and other leaders like Stalin. And so there's always this play between humans and power. People, in order to get power, they have to take power away from other people. And the way that you take power away from other people is through force or coercion or education. And you need to understand that our education system is trained to teach people to have their power taken away. For instance, when you go to school, you've got to respect teacher, you've got to respect the school, you've got to respect the law. But education doesn't exist in school. All school does is prepare you for society by giving you particular skills. And it trains you to respect authority. And that authority has the power to do to you things that you don't like in order to keep you in line. So as you go to school and you give your power away to the teachers and to the authority, because if everyone in school said, right, I'm not listening to the teacher, there's nothing the teachers can do. All the teacher can do is to punish certain individuals and hope that that is then seen by the other students and that they get in line. And that's often how you do it. You hit a couple of students quite hard and then the others get in line. But what school essentially is for is to basically train you to prepare you for the adult world. So the teachers and the headmaster become the police and the politicians, and you listen to them because you believe that they're correct. And the reason you believe that they're correct is because of experts. But what you're not told is that experts don't always agree with each other. You have some experts that say yay and some that say nay. For instance, global warming, you have yay and you have nay. But what you don't realize is that media, for instance, television, they choose to pick a side, which is saying that global warming exists, and then they'll give those experts and allow them onto the television. So for instance, the BBC has a policy that it will not let anyone that is anti-global warming or says that global warming doesn't exist onto the BBC to give them a platform. Therefore, they're giving us a particular type of information in order to solidify our minds. So in China, you have expert A and expert B. One says yay, one says nay, but the government is saying that they agree with the anal swabbing, so therefore you have to have the anal swabbing. What do you mean I've got to have the anal swabbing? I don't need to have the anal swabbing. Well, a plane in Changchun that was taking off had one person on board that was apparently infected with COVID-19. So what the officials did is they took everyone off the plane, they took them to a hotel, and they all gave them an anal swab. Now, you would comply with those officials because you're told that the officials know what they do. But had you known that you don't need an anal swab, or that anal swabs are no better than having a facial swab or a nose swab, then you wouldn't agree, you wouldn't comply. So the government and the officials have to tell you that this is what the answer is, this is what the truth is, that these swabs, anal swabs, are much better than the nasal swabs. And because you trust the government, therefore you do it. Now, how would you feel if you found out that you didn't need to have an anal swab? You didn't need to be taken to a hotel. Because as you can see from the video, when you have this type of swab, you've got to get into a very submissive position. You've got to have someone behind you that has a lot of power. You've got to take your trousers down, take your underwear down. You've got to expose your genitalia. You've got to be alone when it happens, and then you've got to be penetrated by somebody on the trust that what they're doing is good, because the government says so, yet the officials and the experts that the government has also have people there are people that have contrary opinions to what they have. So it doesn't depend on what the truth is. It just depends on what the people in power decide to do, because power takes the decision away from you. It makes you do what it wants you to do by giving you information that it limits. If someone in the street came along and said, okay, I want you to come back to a hotel, I want you to take your panties down, I want you to take your trousers down, I want you to expose yourself and your genitals, I want you to bend over in a submissive position, and I'm going to insert something into your anus, you'd say no. But then if they said, well, I'm a doctor, yeah, then you'd sort of say, oh, okay. And then if the official said, no, this is for the good of the greater nation, then you'd say, okay. So what happens is that when you have people like doctors and police, because they have badges or little letters behind their names, we're trained from school to believe that these people know best, and they don't. Just because you're an expert doesn't mean you're right, and many experts have other experts that contradict what they have to say. Therefore, it's not about what the expert says, it's about whom chooses what expert to allow onto the media and social media to vent their opinion, and not give time to the other person to vent their opinion. It's basically an information war. If somebody has sex with you and they say that they're using a condom and they take the condom off, that is assault. So this is very serious. And as I said before, if anyone penetrates your orifices, okay, your anal or your vaginal orifice, that is classed as rape. So if somebody penetrates you, all right, under the guise of being a doctor and being an official, and this is the expert opinion, and you agree to go along with it, just as you agreed to have sex with someone, and then you realize that what they were saying wasn't actually true, just as the man didn't put the condom on or took it off, then what is that classed as? And I think that we're on a very, very thin line between consent and assault and rape, because the consent is only happening on the basis that the information that you're being given is true. But if the information isn't true and it's incorrect, then what is that classed by? Well, so the government gave it on good faith. Yeah, but you don't do good faith, yeah, when it comes down to penetration of orifices. This is where there has to be a limit. And I want you to think about practical jokes. We all laugh at people when we play practical jokes on people. I mean, isn't it hilarious when we make somebody do something that they don't need to do, and we're watching them and we film it and we have a little giggle about it? Well, I think that power, when you have a lot of power, you're not interested in money anymore. And I think that you look at people as objects and you look down on people. And when you look down on people, you do nasty things to them. So for instance, powerful people torture people for fun. They go and take things away from them for fun, because it makes them feel more powerful and they can mock people. And I think that what's happening in the world with these lockdowns and these anal swabs and these swabs and all of this stuff that's going on, the face masks, but if you are made to go and have an anal swab and go into the position and have someone look at you and put things into you that you don't want, somebody that understands that you don't need to have that done and it's pointless to do that might be laughing at you. And if you can think that you've managed to get 2 million people to all pull their pants down and to all expose themselves and to all have a penetration, you must be giggling. It must be very, very funny for you. And perhaps it is quite funny. But the problem is that if the people don't wake up, if the people just stay silent, if the people just go along with everything, if the people carry on their school training into the adult world, then the people that have power look down on them as stupid, as people that are not needed, as people that can't defend themselves, as people that won't stand up. And so these people are thought to bring it on themselves. And so what I'm saying is that you need to deprogram yourself from school and you need to question authority. And what the authority says, you need to then go and do your research to see if there's anything against what the official statements are. Having 2 million people all pull their underwear down and their panties down and then be penetrated with a micro bog brush is going to be very funny to some people. And for us, it's a type of mockery. If it happens to you, it's a type of mockery. And I don't think that you should be laughing, but because in effect, this is a type of rape or assault. But the people are laughing about people consenting to being raped or assaulted with probes and objects without them even knowing what's going on. And if you can think of a powerful person that can look at a group of people and say, what's happened to you is assault or rape and you don't even know it, and I did it to you and I've got a big smile on my face and you're going along with it, it means that I can do other things to you as well, which are even worse.